Welcome to my stock market update for Wednesday, October 8th. You're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq. And at the risk of showing my age, Sonny and Cher wrote a song, and the beat goes on. And it certainly does for the Nasdaq. I know there was some hand wringing yesterday and people worried about a top, and I'll get to that in time. But, the Nasdaq making new highs, crossed above 23,000 today, closed at 5.1% above its 50 SMA, 2.1% above the 21. And it's just continuing this trend. And this can last a long, long, long time. So don't fight the trend, don't fight the tape. I will say one thing that we saw a rotation today into the hardware of AI names. And if your stock is not within, making a new high like the NASDAQ or near new highs, you really ought to consider making an adjustment there. And unless you're a long-term holder, like if you have Apple 11 and it crashed down on a bogus report, and let's see how far this is off. Yeah, it's 15.5% off its high, down nearly 8% this week. If you're a longer term holder and think this is going higher to 1,000, I can understand holding it. But if you're a swing trader, there's so much other merchandise out there that you should be trading and not holding on and hoping for Apple 11, because it's probably going to take like an earnings report or something to get this thing going back above to new highs. So with the Nasdaq making new highs, your stock should be at or near a new high. I mean, within 5 to 8%. I understand that IONQ and these quantum stocks pulled back sharply today, but still, 10% off of its high with a 1 day pullback and still up on the week. But and somebody asked me, these the quantum stocks were sold today and showed weakness, but they're up so much, and they're asking if this is a crash. No, this would be considered, the crash or the end of the speculation or the froth in the market. Just a 1 day pullback or a pullback to the 21. It's not an indication of anything. Okay, and I'm getting way off base here. I just wanted to get back to the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq's fine. It's making new highs. Your stock should be making new highs. And if not, I hate owning exchange traded funds, but if not, you can always get into TQQQ if you're in a slump or you're in the wrong stocks, you can't figure it out. Just go straight to the index. That's what I do. I go into slumps and I go to the index because I need to find my way. I'm a lost soul and I need to find my way. Anyway, I've got to get to some of the stocks on the ready list today. NVIDIA made a nice move. I don't think it's even broken out yet, though. I think it's going to make a little measured move here above 200 pretty soon, up to 189 today. Let's see what that looked like on a 5 minute chart. Yeah, ramped in the morning, sold off a little bit. A nice close, though, for NVIDIA. And one thing I want to say about NVIDIA is like, and everybody says it's over owned and can't go any higher, but it's got 8,829 of these mutual fund owners. And if you look at something like Microsoft with 10,4, this has got 2,000 more fund ownership, and these are the leading growth funds. But Microsoft had 2,000 more than NVIDIA, so there's more funds that I shouldn't say need to own, but will probably want to own NVIDIA in time. So I just want to point that out. And I've been saying this for a while now with these big kahuna stocks, forming bases here and building a base and looking like they want to move higher. Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Apple is the other one. I don't see the NASDAQ really cratering. I see these things trading higher. Apple, I don't know, was up today 0.5%. But this thing, it's a slower mover. It's a huge stock, and I think it's going to trade out and break out above that 260 level and make new highs real soon there. Yeah, close at 258. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I do want to talk about AMD. The star of the show today for me was AMD. Made that new high, and this is what I'm talking about here. I'll go to 5 minute chart and show you. The old high was, well, I'll go show you here in the I think the weekly will have it. Yeah, right here, 227.30 was the old high. So on March 8th, 2024, the week of March 8th, 2024. So anything above that's gonna attract new buyers because there's a style out there, the old Wyckoff or the Darvis or the O'Neill type of traders. When a stock makes a new high, it usually makes subsequent many more new highs and not just one new high and then fail. So you're looking at AMD. It almost did it on Monday, pulled back, got to 226, pulled back, had an inside day yesterday, and now traded above the new high. I'm gonna get to this on a 5-minute chart because it's very interesting to me. Is that it started approaching, it. You could see buyers coming in, and boom, as soon as it hit 227.99, look what happened. Right, these new buyers come in, these momentum traders, these folks who want to own stocks at new highs. Yeah, so some profit taking here, but into the close, just bam. And if you just look at this thing all day, buyers all day, just step on the gas all day long. You could have just bought calls in the morning and just let that thing ride all day. And it's up after hours as well. I think this is going much higher. It's got a lot of momentum. Like I said, the new highs brings in those momentum traders, which is fine. Hot money leaves about as fast as it comes in. So you have to know that as well. But AMD up 11% today. Fantastic day for AMD. And that's just, one style of trading. And if you're a swing trader, that would be 227.30 would be your trigger. And right now it's trading what about $10 above that and not completely let me go to the weekly. This is not what I would call chasing right here because the 227.30 is your target. It's 10% above that. Yeah, on the daily, maybe some profit taking, but I think it's going higher. That's just my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. Um, Along this same line in this group here, Broadcom bouncing off the 21. This one looks pretty strong. Nice little pullback, up nearly 3% today. Let's take a look at this on the weekly. Yeah, it's within 10% of a high, 7.7%. So that one looks fine. And then Taiwan Semiconductor in the same group making a new high. And that's what you want to see. With the index making new highs, you really have to check your stocks here. And if they're not doing that, then you got to make an adjustment. That's all. And I'm going to get to that later on in the show. Some of the hardware names, just, really strong. Dell broke out of a cup with handle recently, tacked on 9% today. SMCI, I put this one on the ready list, still within a base, but I like this pop here today, 6.5% move. If you got into that one, I think, you can hold that through the, 62.36 level. What else do I have here? Just a lot of these names here. Credo popped a little bit today. Yeah, it was a day. It was a day for the hardware. What did this close above the 21? You could see it pull back to the 50, and a pullback is fine. After a big move like this, man, from what 29 to 170. Come on, you got to expect some profit taking, okay? And it just pulled back to the 50, which is totally normal. The full first pullback to the 50 since breaking out of the base is usually a gift, and it was here today. The high was 149, but this thing needs to continue on and not fall back to the 50. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, it's up, nearly 4% this week, 15% off of its high. But, it had, like I said, it had this big move from 29 to 170. So you got to expect a little breather off what, five bagger or more. Credo has been a monster. ALAB, another one that pulled back to the 50, now bouncing. This one looks good to me. I know it came down a little bit yesterday, 4%, bounced back today, got most of that back, just had a little inside day today as it found support at the moving averages. And that's what you want to see. Sanmina, oh my gosh, Sanmina. Yeah, up 7% today. Another one like with the AMD, I was watching this one, it's just all day long, just buyers all day long, just heading north, right? I think it opened the day around what, 125, yeah, and closed at 134, $9 moves, over 7%. So Sanmina looks like a beast in the making. And I think that's all the hardware names that I'm going to get to right now. I'm going to come back and do some more, but I cannot go much longer without mentioning the commodity. We're in a commodity melt-up phase, and the gold stocks are just, really strong. This is Barrick Mining, and I'm going, you guys know all the names. I go through this every darn day. NEM is one of the bigger ones, or I think it's the biggest one. Just cruising. Kinross Gold, yes, very nice. I think HMY. Making yeah, this one looks like it's in a base. Yeah, that's why I wrote that down. Almost 3 weeks tight. That looks good. HMY. So if you're looking for an actionable gold stock that's not just way extended, you got one there. IE, this is a copper mining stock. I've been mentioning this one a lot, trading tight within the base. Now today, bam, jeez, it went up 13%. Wow, and up after hours. So yeah, this is a copper mine that they're having a dig here in Arizona, and I guess the government, kind of fast tracked the mining. So they're going to be pulling stuff out of the ground here pretty soon. Pretty soon, I mean, within like 18 months. But stock's always going to get ahead of the fundamentals. So let me see here. What else do I have? Oh, CDE. CDE, another nice one. Core mining. And what else do we have? Gosh, IDR, another one. I think this is in Idaho, like Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Yeah, beautiful country. Another new high today. So trying to get into some ones that I normally don't show you because you know all the ticker symbols. I post them every day. This is a TGB, Taseko Mines, and it's got a lot of volume, but $4 stock. But it made this bull wedge pattern. We kind of seen it. You could call this like a flag, right? Or a bull wedge here that popped nicely today, 6%. See what that looks like on the weekly. Yeah, big base, ran up, another consolidation and running up. So yeah, just another one to consider if you haven't been in the gold, silver, or copper names, man. They are just really on fire. Copper's over $5 now. This is Southern Copper, probably the leader of this group, the copper group. Anyway, you guys know this story. I talk about it every day, so I'm going to give you a break and move on to the mineral plays. Bay Minerals, man, these things are on steroids. Now, I gotta, so this one was up 8% today, but and bouncing off its moving average, just surfing the five. But I got to point out that some of these that have been strong recently pull back today. I was really surprised. And you're going to get a shakeout within a handle. And I thought that was a shakeout, but it came back down pretty hard today, 4.3%. Little surprised at that. USA rare earth, USA rare earth down 4% as well. So they're not all just completely ripping face rippers are getting a little bit of a pullback here. Yesterday, this one had an inside day, critical metals, and now it's up 16 and 2/3% today. So yeah, these things are strong. Embrace the pullback, it just came back, made a big day. I think it's up like 45%, something like that, and then had an inside day. Yeah, this is what, Monday, 45%. Just had an inside day as it allowed the moving average to catch up, bounced off the moving average to a cool 17% move. I'll take that in my portfolio every day. Another group, strong group along with the gold. We know the energy plays. OKLO just pulling back here, and I think this is a buy right here, 130, 135 area. It made this high of 144, whatever, pull back to the moving average, made another high. And I know people say, "Oh, it's a double top." Not a double top. It just had kind of like an inside day today and pulled back to the five. I think that'll bounce pretty soon. Once it's above 150, nobody will be talking about a double top for OKLO. People just got to get cute. I'm telling you, they're looking for a top. They're looking for reasons to sell. They're looking for calling a crash. Some people, when they smell roses, they ask, "Where's the funeral?" It's like they can't stand prosperity. The market's in an uptrend. It's in a wild, bullish uptrend. Enjoy the uptrend. You earned it. We've been waiting a long time for this, and finally it's here, and we're making a bunch of money. And don't be a party pooper. Just go ahead, just enjoy it. Don't be too negative at all. Don't ever be negative. Geez. I get a lot of questions during the day, and people are concerned, and I get it. It's your money, it's your hard-earned money, and you don't want to lose it. I get it, but also you have to take advantage of the trend, and we're in a strong trend here. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. These things are up a lot. I get it, so it makes people nervous. BE again, this one just had a quiet inside day today as it pulled back to the five. I think that's a buy. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to make a new high tomorrow, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did, either by Friday or next week. Bloom Energy is a strong stock that's in demand. Institutions want to own it. So, yeah, those are gifts, man. When they pull back, that's all you're going to get. It's not going to form a base like GE. GE is a little misunderstood here. It's a slower mover, a bigger name, great fundamentals. But with the administration, cutting back funding for these green energy, it doesn't really even bother GE. They sell globally, all over the world. China's buying enough of their turbines to make up for anything that it's going to miss from the USA. I can't wait for their earnings call on the 22nd because I'm sure they're going to crush it. And people are going to say, "Oh, I thought the turbines, the windmills kill the birds or whatever." It has nothing to do with this company at all. And they have a huge component of nuclear. So, yeah, I think it's just a little misunderstood right now, and it's sold off. And stocks are going to consolidate in a base after a big move. So that's all it's doing. I think GEV is fine. And I see a lot of people talking about it like it's in trouble. I don't think it is at all. Um, and the other one is NNE. Interesting move. This thing has been ripping, right? And it's going to the moon. Yippee-ki-yay. Woohoo. And then all of a sudden, wow, I'm down 17%. That hurts. But all it did, it's kind of come down to its moving average, right? I mean, this thing was on fire. It went from what, to 27 to 60, in pretty short order. Yeah, probably about 6 weeks there. So, yeah, pulled back a day, to its moving average. And I know it's a violent move, right? But still up 6% this week. So, keep everything in perspective. Look at all time frames. All right, I'm going to move on. Anything that flies, I talk about. Anything that flies is flying, right? And like the nuclear stocks are going nuclear, and anything that flies is flying. Rocket Lab, they had a news item this morning. I had it on my page. I forget the exact details of the deal that they made, but it was up 6% today. I think it closed like the mid-range, but you could see in this weekly chart. And I would just say, if you're a Darvish trader, you just say this is a box. And now it just broke out of the box, so it's not crazy extended, I don't think. It just moved out of this little consolidation pattern. Maybe they'll want to come fill that gap there because the high on Tuesday was 62.56 and the low today was 63.65. So maybe a pullback, fill the gap, and then rip higher. That would not be out of the question. ASTS. Now I know they made a partnership with Verizon, and this one had a gap and came and closed 12% of the daily range. And maybe it wants to fill that gap. The low today was 79.82. The high today on Tuesday was 76 has got a little work to do and allow this green line, that moving average to catch up. Believe me, the machines know where those lines are, and they're programmed that way. KTOS, I get questions about the flying machines, and I got to be honest, I don't really know that much about them. Definitely not an expert in this area, but I do know my technicals, and this one is just surfing the five. Look at the blue volume bars. I mean, I think a kindergartner can figure out this one's, lower left to upper right. And Helmet is in the same group, but not nearly as strong. This one's just consolidating here. So this I would be consider a laggard. I'd have to consider a laggard, but it's only 3% off of its 52-week high, and it could blast to new highs, tomorrow or the next day or next week. This to me just looks like it's forming a base and consolidating, forming a little handle there as it shook some fools out there for 3 days down to the 21. Yeah, Helmet. It looks fine. It is a laggard in comparison to its peers, but it looks fine. Okay, I'm going to move on to the storage group. STX. These pulled back a little bit. Well, you know why? This thing went from what, 63 to 220, 264. Oh my gosh. Yeah. $200 move, so from 60, I don't know what you want to call it, a 3.5 bag or something like that. But so pull back to the 21. And if you own it and you're going, man, this sucks 5 days in a row and it's going downhill, but it ran, all this way, just like I talk about eating that big Thanksgiving dinner, you're feasting like a pig, you're feasting at the trough. And now, it's time to go to sleep and take a little bit of a rest. All runners need their rest and just allow it to breathe a little bit. And it's pretty soon it'll be time to pop the cork on the champagne, though. That thing will get running again, which brings me to SanDisk. This one I think is the strongest of this group. This thing's just been a monster. $40 up to what, 140 did it go to? 137. Pulled back 2 days. 2 days, and I have people saying, oh, it's the end of the line for SanDisk. I mentioned this. I think I mention this talk every day. It did this a while ago, not a while ago, the end of September. 6% move, 5% move to the downside, just pulled back to its 5. Remember, those lines are there for a reason. And then it ripped from this low here on what, September 25 of 93.54, and it ripped up to October 3, which is a very short period of time, to 137. So it pulls back a couple of days. That's what you want it to do. It just allows it to breathe a little bit. When you open a bottle of wine, you want it to breathe a little bit. It tastes a little better, right? Come on, folks. You can handle a day or two of a downtrend and not say the top is in. Everybody wants to call it top. Just ride it, folks, ride it. You got to learn to ride your winners. And this to me allowed people to get in on this bounce. I talked to a couple clients here who DM me, and I just said, yeah, I think that's a buy there off the five. And today it popped. We talked about this yesterday, and yeah, 9% move today. And we also talked about OKLO, and I think that one's going to pop too, but it didn't. Yeah, SanDisk, very strong move. Others in the group, PTSG, Charlie Giancarlo's company. Oh man, I got dyslexia, man. PTSG, PSTG. Duh. Type it in, you moron. All right, this one's I should no negative self-talk. You can't talk that way, Marty. I'm gonna get scolded. Yeah, up 6%, making a new high. So once again, these things are just very strong. The storage group, hardware. Once again, this one ran a lot. This is the mothership for SanDisk. 28 to 1,000, 137, and now it pulled back a couple of days. I think that's a buy right there. It gives you 2 days. That's all you're going to get in this type of a tape. All right. What else do I have here? I'm going to get to the group that I really, really like. These two, I own them, so I like them. But IREN, I was watching this one today. Obviously made a big run. And for those people who sell, at 100% above the 20, look at how long this thing's been trading, 100% above the 200. Look at this. If you sold it at 25 because it was 100%, above the 200, that's your style, that's your fault, that's your problem. I don't really care about that. It did, 63.40, from 14 not long ago. So big move. It pulled back on a secondary, and I think the secondary was just kind of psychologically allowed people to sell the stock. I think this thing's going much higher, but I was watching this one today as it sold off here. Gap lower. So we got a gap down from the close yesterday of 61.68. So a gap lower this morning, gap down, I don't know, 58.15, and continued to sell off. They pushed it down pretty decently to 57, and then the bull said enough, I'm buying, and this thing just ripped right on up back above 60. I was watching for the 60 level. I wanted to see it close at 60, and it looked like it was going to here at 2:10 p.m., but not so much here at 255. And then it rallied into the close and finished above 60. So for me, that's kind of like, I don't know, options traders with their weekly calls at $60 saying, well, I'm going to cash out now. But all this thing did, after all that, it was just an inside day today on that secondary offering. I think there's huge demand for this stock. I think it's going much, much, much higher. And, this is the breakout here. Obviously, you can see how many weeks in a row this thing's been rallying. It wants higher prices. It's in price discovery. It's 5% within its 50 all-time high. It's up 19% this week despite today's sell-off. Up and after hours. Yeah, there's a lot that I like about this company. The other one is CIFR. I've got to go to the 5-minute chart because again, this morning it was showing weakness, right? Yeah, kind of with IREN, they kind of trade together and made this low here of 15.22, and then the bulls came in and just it was a bull ride, a bucking bronco, and closed from 15, what did I say, 15.22, it ran up to $18. Geez, 18.09 was the high today, and then closed 83% of the daily range. So to me, if you're looking at the daily chart, you're just saying, wow, look at that green line, huh? As long as that green line's going higher and this thing finds support and stays above the green line, it doesn't take you very long to make money in this one. So what else do I have? Oh, I'm going to go to EOSE. This is a battery stock. I didn't know where to put this thing, so I'm putting it here. And this thing is just like the ones that I showed you, just surfing the five. You don't have to hold it very long to make money in this one. That reminds me, I missed out on one of our flying stocks that I forgot, and that was ONDS. I do stuff like this. ONDS, another one that same thing. It's surfing the five. Every time it pulls back, it's bought. And as long as that five is going higher and it stays above the five, like I said, it does not take very long for you to be profitable here. Yeah, it's up 13.5% this week. So yeah. Okay. I'm going to move on to the drug stocks. And I've got to tell you, I'm stoked about this stock making new highs today. Stoke Therapeutics, what do they do? I don't know. They make their shareholders money, I guess. But it was $5, not long ago in springtime, $11, in the summertime. And now in the fall, it's $32. So that's what type of market we're in here. Stoke Therapeutics, making money, wants higher prices. QURE, same thing. Gap tire on FDA approval, ran up, pulled back to its five, and then made a new high today. That one, wants higher prices as well. It's in price discovery. TARS had some people on Twitter saying, "Why didn't I buy this? I've been looking at it for weeks. Why don't I buy it?" Sometimes you just have to hit the button, folks. It's not going to wait for you. And we're in a wildly bullish market, and I know people don't like drug stocks, and I get that because you can get really hammered. But yeah, these ones that I'm showing you on the putting you on the positive path. We don't want to talk about the negative aspect of the drug names. A couple other ones here before I move on. NTLA, gap tire, obviously in a base here, moved up, pulled back to the five. What did it do? Well, it found support and bounced. Well, it sold off a couple of days, pulled back to the five and bounced today, 20%. And that's why I use these lines, folks, because yeah, the computers and the machines, they know they're there. If you're a fund manager, you don't even have to be in the office. You can just program, your machine to buy NTLA off the five, and that worked to a 20% move today. If you're smart enough to do that, that works. TEM, this is one that got famous last summer because Nancy Pelosi, or I don't know, last year, I should say. Nancy Pelosi's one of her big option calls was on this one. It went through 100 today in impressive fashion, closed 99% of the daily range. That is a nice hammer candle as it broke above that old 97.79, which would be your trigger. As it made that high, then undercut the 21 and then rallied. That's your Livermore shakeout plus three move, which is really a shakeout plus 10%. So 10% from 74.59 would be $7, would be like 81. So yeah, right there. Boom, shakeout plus three. Once again, just minding the five, longer term. It's just these lines are going higher. The stock is going higher in a very strong uptrend. That's TEM, the ticker symbol. NBTX. I post this one on Twitter as well, and just crickets, absolute crickets. Why? Because it's so thin. 55,000 shares per day for a $27 stock. This one has the ability to go up fast and to go down fast. So that's why people stay away from it. But 30% move today, a new high. I like new highs. What can I say? IMNM. I had this one on the ready list last week, but I had to leave it off this week because it made too big of a move last week. But gosh darn it, it's up 13% this week, so made a big move, 3 weeks ago, 23% last week. I thought I was hot stuff when it was a 7% move, and now this week it's up 13%. So, yeah, that's too extended for me right there. But yeah, strong biotech stocks, they're all over the place. APGE, I don't think I've talked about this one much, but getting near that trigger point of 47.71, big move today of 19%. Apogee Therapeutics. I have no idea what they do. Dermatitis. Okay. Pulmonary disease, whatever. Very strong move there. All right, that's enough drugs. Can't do too many drugs. They'll make your mind crazy. All right, Palantir. Once again, I like this setup, but until that darn thing moves, I'm not happy with this. This is a very quiet day. Look at this inside day. It barely budged. What was the daily range was like $3, for a $200 stock. I mean, that's 1.5% move. That thing's getting very tight, very quiet. Look at this whispered thin volume for a big stock like this. I think this thing's going to move higher. I think it's going to go to 200. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or Friday or next week or next month, but Palantir is going to take out 200. I would bet my dog on it. No, I wouldn't. I love my dog. I'm not going to do that. Take that back. I just think it's going higher. CoreWeave, they got the deal with NVIDIA and Jensen keeps pumping this thing. I kind of have a problem with it because every time rallies up, it gets, sold into. Here's your big rally, it's sold off, then it rallied up and sold off, rallied up and sold off, rallied up. It keeps doing that. I mean, on the daily, it looks fine, but it just can't break out, and it probably will one of these days. But yeah, I mean, the chart looks good, but it's got to break out. You got to show me, right? It can't just sit there and be a pretty chart. That's not going to pay you. Datadog, the dog was off the chain today. Nice move, up more than 6%, bouncing off the five. Once again, consolidating in a base, trading tight within the base here, by the 50, made a pop, traded tight, and now today another pop. I should have had that one on my ready list along with VSAT. I blew both of these two. Sorry about that. Yeah, 14% move. I'm really upset with myself. Ugh. Anyway, okay. I'll do some push-ups, run a couple laps. Snowflake, I like this one too. Did not put this one on my ready list because Palantir didn't want to have too many software names, but Datadog, Palantir, they all look pretty good to me. And I just showed you VSAT. So there's a lot of stocks still set up in bases that are not completely way extended, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunities here in this market, and there's no need to chase stuff because if you do, you probably get hammered. All right, Quanta Services. Like I say, Rain Man said no crashes for Qantas, right? This thing made another new high today, up 5%. I did have this one on my ready list this week, and bam, nice move. What else do I have on my ready list? I did not have EME, but I like this chart. I think it's oh gosh, it popped 6% this week already. Yeah, you can see the consolidation. Another one that I missed. See what I'm saying about this market? There's still so many stocks set up, and you can't kiss all the babies, so you have to pick and choose. But once again, is it near a new high? Yes, it is. So, I'd rather have something like that than something that's 20% off their new highs because when stocks make a new high, they tend to make more new highs. So, what else do we have? STRL, this is just a monster. This thing has delivered more in the past 5 years than even NVIDIA. Up 5% today. What was the other one that I was looking at in this HVAC fix? This is one that I've qualified for my video for the gap and go. As we head into earnings, I'm going to make a video this weekend on 10 stocks that gapped up last earnings. You can see the low was 648 and now it's 844. So 200 points since the last earnings call. And not every time, but usually stocks that gap up on earnings, they do it more than once. They're called serial gappers. They continue to do it over and over. Now, in this earnings call, it gapped lower back in what, January? Yeah, it gapped 25% lower. Ouch. Formed a base, and then it gapped 22% higher. So, that it's a huge risk, but I'm going to make a video on stocks, 10 stocks that I like. This is one of them, comfort systems. All right. I'm just, that's a segue. Where at the beginning of the movie, they show the previews, right? All right. I'm being a clown today. Zscaler in a base set up. And this is what I'm talking about. There's just too many good stocks set up in bases for me to be bearish. Too many stocks making new highs. Um, this one was up 7% today. As you can see, it traded tight within the base. Pull back to the moving average the last three sessions. Back to the 21, found support and bounce. CrowdStrike, George Kerr's stock. Still, to me, this is very actionable, even though it made a big move, bounced off the 21. It was up 5%, $25, but man, it's right there at the 507.20. So CrowdStrike's going to go on your, I don't know, CrowdStrike or Zscaler or Palo Alto. I'll have to make a decision. I can only put one. This one got away from the 210 area, 210.39 and now made a new high today. That's Palo Alto Networks. Once again, I'm talking about stocks at or near new highs. That's where you want to be. That's the game, folks. Yeah. Um, with the indexes at new highs, yeah, don't hold on to stuff and hope that they come back and they're, 25% off their new highs. They're called laggards for a reason. What else do I have? Oh, the crypto names. This one got a short report today, and it really survived it pretty well. I was impressed. They came out in the middle of the session here, maybe at the beginning of the session, boom, they sold off and really kind of hurt the stock, but it closed higher. I was really surprised. With crypto, I think Bitcoin's around what 125, something like that, 125,000. SharpLink Gaming, SBET, another crypto name. Yeah, kind of down 1%, not too bad today. And then Galaxy is another one of these crypto names that I kind of like. I kind of like them. This looks like an inside day today. Yeah, allowing the five to catch up. But as long as that green line's going higher and it's above the green line, guess what? All right, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. I just want to point out one important fact for all those who are paying attention, and that is leadership matters. Good leaders like Steve Jobs at Apple, he was a pretty decent leader. I've got two of these here. I like Lisa so much, I put two of them down here. So Lisa Su was named CEO of AMD in 2014, October of 2014. So we can find 2014 here, October somewhere. Let's go back. Okay, so it's $2.54, 280, we'll call it the end of the month. And so Lisa has turned this company around. It was a dog. Everybody hated AMD. It was Intel and NVIDIA's, whipping boy. Lisa came in, great hire. I love Lisa Su. She's so articulate and she's just a stream of consciousness when she talks. So, people who talk like that cannot be BSing. I'm just going to go back to 2014. Just so brilliant. Brilliant minds. It never stutters. It never says No, she just boom. Stream of consciousness speaking. Love that. 8,312%. Do you think the shareholders love her? She has changed people's lives at AMD. And so, the board, I know, the retail folks got a little upset when it made this high of what did I say earlier? 227.30, and it made this little, it was down in the dumps for a while. But now it's making new highs. So everybody loves AMD. It's up 45% this month, up 8,300%. So leadership matters. They could have hired somebody else and it wouldn't have done nearly like that. Not at all. Another one, I have to mention my boy Yuri Sola when he came into well he's an immigrant from Croatia and he started SANMINA back, I don't know, early 1980s. I got to know him in the 90s. His kids went to my school. But anyway, he retired. He was going to stay at home, live, enjoy the fruits of his labor, go golfing, and he hurt his back, and he's tired of sitting around the house, getting his honeydew. So he went back to work because the two CEOs that replaced him, you can see this slide here. So he came in, I don't know, October of 2020. So if we see what the leadership does here for Sanmina in 2020, yeah, Yuri's got this thing cooking, 390% in the last since he's been there, call it 5 years. So leadership matters. And my point is, I'm getting to not open door, not a so Canada CAS just took over, right? And this thing has rallied up and now it's kind of fallen back. I think Canada CAS is a great leader, but this is going to take some time to turn this thing around. Today's chart was absolutely just ugly, ugly, ugly. I don't know what happened to this stock today. There's a lot of short sellers, a lot of manipulation. It was up 960 at 1125, and at 1145, 20 minutes later, it's at 869. So that is just too much of a violent move for me. That spooks people like me as a trader. Also, Open Door is 22% off its high. In a market like this, why can't it be making highs above the 1087? That's short term. That's short-term swing trader stuff. I just told you shouldn't be holding stuff that's not at or near high, so it's not. But if you're, longer term, intermediate or longer term, I think Kaz will turn it around. I think he's going to develop a new style of home buying, and when rates come down, this thing could start cooking, in 2026. Something to watch for, but for now, I think there's much better plays. But yeah, Canada Cas, good man. I think he's going to be a good leader. And in honor of the great Steve Jobs, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Steve Jobs, the greatest CEO of all time in my lifetime. For my money, I'll give it to Steve Jobs. Yeah, Tim Cook took over. Bleh. No innovation, but the stock has done well, wouldn't you say? I think Steve Jobs passed away in 2011 or so. So, yeah, Tim Cook's done well by Apple, but not the innovator that Steve Jobs was. Anyway, I digress. Have a great evening, everybody. Leadership matters. Never give up.